Welcome back. Now, following the indefinite suspension of Abdul Rashid Bawa'S as chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, various groups and civil society organizations have hailed the move by President Bola Tinubu. In a statement on Wednesday, the Director of Information, Office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Willie Bassi, said Bawa'S was suspended to allow for a proper investigation into his conduct while in office. Before his suspension, concerned groups and CSOs had repeatedly called for Bawa'S' removal, while leveling allegations of corruption and abuse of office against him as chairman of the EFCC. On Thursday, June the 15th, Bawa'S submitted himself for interrogation by Nigeria's secret police, the Department of State Services. They've equally described the suspension as long overdue and unacceptable, and have urged the acting chairman of the EFCC, Abdul Karim Cacol, and President Tinubu to also investigate all principal collaborators in Bawa'S' alleged atrocities. Abdul Karim Cacol, principal detective and investigator at the commission, was placed at the helm of affairs pending the conclusion of the investigation. Now, former President Muhammadu Buhari had nominated Bawa'S as EFCC chairman in February 2021 and was thereafter confirmed by the Nigerian Senate. Bawa'S succeeded former EFCC chairman Ibrahim Magu, who was also suspended and underwent trial on alleged diversion of recovered government assets. Well, let's discuss this further. I'm now being joined on the program by the leader now, the chair of the Center for Anti-Corruption and Open Leadership, Debo Adeniro. Mr. Adeniro, thank you very much for joining us on the program. I know you've been campaigning for the removal of should I refer to him now as the former EFCC chairman? Would you say his indefinite suspension it translates to your wish being met?
Yes, thank you very much. It's not yet a former, EFCC chairman.
Yes,
it's a suspended EFCC chairman. And it is a step in the right direction. It is a vindication of our position that Abdul Rashid Bawa'S does not fit to be in that office, even before he was appointed. In 2021, we wrote a petition to the then President Buhari and the Senate, the next Senate, that, look, this guy had a couple of corruption allegations hanging on his neck from where he presided over EFCC affairs in Rivers State, where he sold some petrol tankers, at a giveaway price. And we were told that each of the petrol tankers should cost between 20 to 30 million naira, but he sold them at a paltry sum of 100,000 naira each. And the proceeds has not been well accounted for. Okay, so based on that allegation alone, we believe that somebody who wants to come to the equity must come with clean hands, and that Bawa'S has soiled his hands in the sale of those proceeds of corruption. And that is the reason why we said that the president should not appoint him, should not have appointed him in the first place. And we want
But then, when he was appointed, you did not make much of an issue about his appointment.
So
it was later on that your groups and other groups started campaigning against him. What exactly went wrong? Where did he lose an organization like yours? At what point?
Well, all along, we were only tolerating his staying in office, despite the corruption allegations against him. But when flurry of other allegations started coming in, we contacted those who should know, and nobody could give us any satisfactory explanation why he should remain in office. The only explanation we got was that, well, he's been appointed, and he needed to do his work in the best way he knows how to do it. That the then administration reposed so much confidence in him. But we knew that it wasn't the administration per se that reposed so much confidence in him. It could have been an arrangement between politicians, especially those who have corruption allegations against them, and the then Attorney General and Minister of Justice, Abubakar Malami, because you remember that even up to the time we are speaking, Ibrahim Magu, who was the former acting, chairman of EFCC, has not been properly, officially relieved of his duty. And we also warned that that the system should not, run into the quagmire of having two chairmen or acting chairman and a chairman in the EFCC, because that will be against the provisions of the law that set up the EFCC. If Ibrahim Magu, despite all the allegations leveled against him, despite the sitting of a panel led by Justice Ayo Salami, had not been openly indicted that he has committed, infractions that are intractable, then he should not, be replaced until, final, decision is taken on Ibrahim Magu. But nobody listened to us. Abdurrashid Bawa was brought in. And now, like I said, flurry of complaints started rolling in. Okay? Like he operates like, he uses Gestapo method to arrest and interrogate his suspects. That he was asked by the court. He's given a judgment by court and flagrantly disobey court orders, that he violates the rule of law, and that, yes. So all of these allegations became potent when two courts of competent jurisdiction committed him to prison, and he refused to serve those prison terms for contempt of the court. And if an agency like EFCC that relies on court of justice, to prosecute all of their suspects, then it means that anybody can fall victim. And if anybody gets, court's judgment against the EFCC, they will flagrantly disregard such judgment. And at the end of the day, the person who's supposed to enjoy the proceeds of such, judgment will find himself in jeopardy.
This frequent change in the leadership of the EFCC, don't you think it negates the fight against corruption? Because we've had too many chairmen of EFCC over a short period.
No, you see, until we get something right, we will continue to make effort towards doing the right thing. If the system does not recognize reasons why chairmen of EFCC are falling, then, and it continue to repeat the same old mistake, then it should re-examine itself. And that is why we suggested that due diligence background check should be done on anybody being considered to be the head of anti-corruption agencies, so that at the end of the day, he will not be found to be committing infractions that will be against the rule of law or against the yearnings of the people. But then it is only Abdurrashid Bawa that has committed obvious, offenses against the rule of law. None of his predecessors flagrantly disobey court orders the way he has done. None of his predecessors were committed to prison by competent courts courts of competent jurisdiction. Now, why will he be Abdurrashid Bawa, who rose through the ranks, who was said to be a thoroughbred, investigator? And if you are an investigator, you must know the underpinnings of why you are investigating other people. It's because they violate or they might have violated the law before you begin to investigate them. Why would you, who is supposed to obey the tenets of the law, be the one that will sabotage the rule of law or the course of justice? That is the reason why we believe that Abdul Rashid Bawa'S should be removed from the office, because it doesn't seem to know why he was in the office. It doesn't seem to know that he's a civilian foremost, that he also is an ordinary citizen of this country like the rest of us. So that he should treat us with civility. Even if somebody has obviously committed an infraction against the law, he should treat such person with civility, as long as the suspect does not act violently or show any sign of using violent method to get out of the
Okay,
so
I get your point. Yes, as an anti-corruption organization, you have a new government in place now. What kind of fight against corruption do you expect to see from this government?
Well, thank you very much. First and foremost, we know what corruption are. Any act of dishonesty is corruption. And if you don't uphold the rule of law when you are in an office of law enforcement agency, then you have committed corruption crime. If the institution that's supposed to be an arbiter between you being an arm of the executive, and the people is not respected by you, who's supposed to uphold the rule of law, then you have committed corruption. So what we want is that person that has, a reserved integrity for himself and for the society, so that from where he has acted in the past, even if it's a private business, he shouldn't be somebody that have been found to engage in shady, corruptive practices. Okay? He should be somebody who is above board, who can be described as person of impeccable character, and somebody who is knowledgeable on what constitutes the rule of law, the right of the people, okay, and civility with which we the civilian populace should be treated when cases arise that we need to interact with the law enforcement agencies. Now, if we don't have somebody who's so knowledgeable, who is so civil, who is a thoroughbred, professional in the field that is supposed to act, then it doesn't fit to be in that office. If it's somebody that has his hand in the sleazy, pool of corruption, who has several corruption allegations hanging on his neck, that person is not fit to be considered to be head of anti-corruption agency. So the kind of person that we want to be chairman of or to be head of anti-corruption agencies are those that have, that recognize integrity and believe that everybody is equal before the law, and will not sidestep the rule of law by disobeying court orders. Because if any agency violates our rights, it is the court that we run to. And that is the only institution that can give us rest of mind that when our rights are violated, then we can run to court and we have a succor. And that is where justice comes in. But we don't just want a situation whereby somebody will act above, as if it's being above the law, and will trample upon our rights with impunity. That is what we are.
So you have so you have implicit confidence in the current government to fight a genuine fight against to fight corruption head on.
Well, to a very large extent, because the president himself is a product of rule of law. He had been taken to court of competent judges, including Code of Conduct Bureau, Code of Conduct Tribunal, and came out of it based on the decisions of those courts and tribunals. And he has, including his colleagues in politics, have benefited so much from the rule of law. I believe that the present president will want to uphold the rule of law and the sanctity of human observation of human rights. So we have confidence that he was an activist. He still believes to being an activist. He's the first among our kind that has risen up to that pinnacle. Okay, so if he does anything wrongly, then he will have disappointed a cross-section of those of us who have been fighting for the for the rule of law and democratic institution. No, for the practice of true democratic, governance in Nigeria. So we believe that he will listen to our other colleagues that are going to work with them, and we can pass our own information, advice, and suggestions to him through those of our colleagues who have suffered in trenches with us, so that he will be a first-hand recipient of all the promptings that will, aid him from avoiding the banana peels that have been, upon which many of the past presidents have been slipping and falling. The same way with all of those who will work with him, we will also ensure that we guide him on those to be appointed as head of agencies, especially those who will head law enforcement, anti-corruption regulatory agencies.
All right, Debo Adeniro, the chair of the Center for Anti-Corruption and Open Leadership, thank you very much for your time. I think that's where we have to end it. We thank you very much for watching. That's how much we can take on the program this week. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you again next week. Bye-bye.